Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and you are welcome to the Shabbat of this morning. Usually, the Rabbi always glorify the name of the Lord for everything that He has done, is doing, and is going to do in our life. We welcome you, everybody, to this wonderful and this beautiful day of the Shabbat. And now, the parasha of this morning is known as Parasha Shoftim. The parasha of this morning is known as Parasha Shoftim, and Parasha Shoftim is called Judges. The word Shoftim meaning judges. The word Shoftim, it means judges, and I subtitle it, Justice, Justice shall you pursue, or the conference of justice and righteousness. I mean, the conference of justice and righteousness. What is a conference? We need to understand that word before we move ahead. What is a conference? A conference is where two rivers or two streams, two water meet. The point that they meet is called conference. Okay, that is a conference where two rivers meet or where two streams meet. That point that they meet is called a conference. So here, the conference of justice and righteousness. We are going to discuss more about that. Where righteousness meets justice. The conference of righteousness and justice. I can say boldly that this is the best portion in the entire Torah for me. And I must admit, I have been known to declare that for all the parashot, that they are also good. All the parasha one by one in the Torah are fantastic. They are all great. There is no one that is not good. It's all good. But I just personally love Parasha Shoftim. But I think that Parasha Shoftim is a serious contender for gold, just as it is done in the Olympic. In the Olympians, they run. Everybody run, and we have only 3 people. One wins gold, another wins silver, and the other one wins bronze medal. So to me, where all the parachute runs, I think the Parasha Shoftim has a very strong contender to win the gold medal, because it's one of my favorite parasha in all. This portion set up an ethical and moral legal system which continues to guide secular law of today. And it is all based on the incredibly powerful directive Tzedek, Tadov. Tzedek, Tadov, which means justice, you shall pursue. These very famous words found at the beginning of this week reading are the foundation for the ethical, moral framework in which our legal system was constructed. Much ink has been spilled about the verb tadov, which means to pursue. In Hebrew, tadov meaning to pursue. Why didn't the Torah say something like this? Justice, you shall achieve. Why did the Torah say justice, you shall pursue? Not justice, you shall achieve. Why? Okay? Even before we enter the land of Israel, it is clear that the complexity of governing a free society will pose a very big challenges. As long as we are always in the pursuit of justice, we will navigate the challenges and do our best. This is what I'm saying. The Torah did not say justice, you shall achieve. It said justice, you shall pursue. Why? Remember that these young people, these are the descendants of those people that came out from the house of bondage, from the land of Mizraim, and this now is a free society, right? These children are free, and now it is a very, very complex matter to govern a free society. God Himself knows God himself understands, and that is why he gave us the what? Gave us the Torah. That the Torah should be our guide. Because the Torah did not ask us to achieve justice. He said we should pursue it. We should try our best to make sure that we do justice. It is, as a human being, it is tough. As a human being, it is hard because we are still in the flesh. But the Torah is encouraging us this morning that we should try our uttermost best to do justice. God knows that for us to achieve justice, it is practically impossible. For man to achieve justice, it is practically impossible. The greatest judge of all the judges is God. So as a man, okay, this is my friend, and the son of your friend commit a crime. Because he's the son of your friend, you free him. And the poor man, you send to jail. Where is the justice? So God is telling us this morning that we should try our best no matter what. We should try our best to pursue justice. It is tough. It is not easy. But we can achieve it. We can do what? We can get it as far as we continue to do what? To pursue it, and as far as we continue to do our best. The opening of this week's Torah reading, Parashat Shoftim, describes the biblical creation of a judicial system, an ancient means of a modern day dual process clause. In the Canadian Bills of Rights of 1960, which guaranteed the right of individual to equality before the law, and which also the counterpart of that is the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. In the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, it states that all men are born equal. All men are equal before the law. They have the inalienable rights. Everybody has their rights. So the question is, do we pursue what is written in our Constitution? Do we do exactly the way it is written down? No. It is sad. It is extremely sad that what we wrote down, we don't follow it. Right? The Canadian Bill of Rights gives everybody equal right before the law. The judge has to hear side A and side B and listen to the witness and make his verdict and make his judgment. But in the world that we live at the present, it is far away from us. Justice is far away. You see, because this man is from another race, is condemned. Because this one is not from Canada, or is an immigrant, before the judge even see him or her, he or she is condemned. So that is where God is saying, God is telling us this morning that we as a human being, even though it is written in our Constitution, do we do what is written? Or is it just there for fashion? Are we following what we actually put down on the paper? Or it is just there for fake? The Torah reads, I will read this morning, it says, judges and officers shall you appoint in all your cities, which Adonai your God gives you for your tribes, and they shall judge the people with righteous judgment. Remember this adjective. Remember, righteous judgment. It's not saying you shall judge them with judgment, but it says with righteous judgment. You shall not pervert judgment. You shall not respect someone's presence, and you shall not accept a bribe, for the bribe will blind the eyes of the wise and make just words crooked. Righteousness shall you pursue, so that you will live and possess the land that Adonai your God gives you. You see there is a condition. There is a condition for you to live long upon the land, for you to sustain yourself in the land, for you to grow and prosper in the land. You have to do what? Justice. You shall pursue righteousness. You shall pursue justice. That is a condition, and I want us to see this as a kind of metaphor, Okay, Israel is like a metaphor. Okay, to the rest of the world. God is telling us as a human being that for us to live prosperity on this planet, for us to live well on this planet, every human race must pursue justice. We must pursue righteousness. 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 Justice. Justice you shall pursue. You see, if we don't want to be like the dinosaur, you know the dinosaur were wiped out. I don't know if they commit sin or not, but this is what I am saying. If we, as a human being, as a being, I mean, not an animal, as a being, as an intelligent being, doesn't want to be wiped out upon the face of the earth, we have to do justice. Because if there is no justice, there is nothing left. God said, you shall not take a bribe. How many people takes bribe? I say, oh, I don't take bribe. Okay, somebody come and say, oh, you know, I buy this car, I give it to you. It's not giving you a car free of charge. He wants you to do him a favor. Because if you buy a car for a judge yesterday, right? You didn't even say anything. But tomorrow, your son commit a crime. And they bring your son before his court. You know, in the courtroom where the judge is the head, you know, that proceed, right? And they bring, oh, Yohanan Ben Yeshua, come, you commit a crime, and the judge stood up and look at the son of the man that just bought him a car yesterday, and he took the car and in his own garage, right? How is he going to condemn that boy? He say, oh, his father just bought me a brand new Mercedes Benz yesterday. You know, the guy just built me a house and gave the key to me 2 days ago. The guy just wired $1 trillion or $2 billion in my bank account. I can't condemn him. I raise up, boom, you are free. And the righteous man, boom, you are condemned. You see, where is the justice? It's another case. The billionaires, the justice that we have done is the justice of the rich. Okay? The billionaires, the millionaires, the rich people, they buy justice. Why? Because they have the money to buy the biggest lawyer in the world. To hire the biggest lawyer in the world. Remember, the lawyers are liars, you know? Lawyers, liars. That is it. You see? So, the poor man cannot get justice because he cannot afford a lawyer. He doesn't have a lawyer. So, the man, the judge, right, plays golf with Goldstein. The name of the judge, the name of the lawyer is Goldstein, and the name of the judge is Abestein. So both of them are Stein, right? Right. So now they play golf together in the same golf club. They play tennis in the same tennis club. You know, they play all kinds of games, hockey in the same hockey club. They are friends. They are pals. He is actually the godfather of his son. So when the lawyer comes to the presence of the judge, and this lawyer is a liar because they have a big name lawyers, right? And the millionaire can afford him. He always win in the presence of the judge because they are pals. So the lawyers, the billionaires, the millionaires, the multi-rich, they buy justice because they can afford that lawyer. A poor man comes to that lawyer and says, please, Mr. Goldstein, please represent me. Mr. Goldstein will ask, how much do you have? He said, oh, I have $1. Mr. Goldstein will tell him to go and find himself. It's some far distance in Sahara Desert. Right? But if Mr. Goldstein come to see Mr. Abestein, there was a millionaire who said, okay, I gave you $2 million. Hey, $2 million, I will represent you $2 million. This is where the problem is. People buy justice. And God is saying, you shall not do that. You shall not, everybody must be equal before the law. You are a billionaire or a millionaire, you are a poor man or not a poor man, everybody must be equal before the law. It seems simple and straightforward. Yet, anyone living in the world today, in the world that we live in the 21st century, knows that it is often nearly impossible to get justice. What is written in Shoftim, in Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 18 to 20. It's not hard. If we read it, simple. Don't take bribe, don't respect people's face, do justice, do righteousness, pursue justice. These are simple things. But in the world that we live today is extremely, very, very nearly impossible. The 16th century Polish commentator Rabbi Shlomo Ephraim, which is also known as Kli Yakar, which means the righteous vessel, offer a profound insight about the phrase Mishpat Sedek, due justice. Mishpat Sedek, due justice. Or more accurately, justice, righteousness. More accurately, justice, righteousness. Rabbi Shlomo Ephraim accurately highlights that the goal of the judicial system is not only to ensure that people are judged fairly, more importantly, there is a hope and expectation that as a consequence of the judgment handed down, a person will change their ways and begin living a life of righteousness. You see, it is a two-edged sword. What is the meaning of justice? What is the meaning of a moral, just court? The just court is not to condemn you, understand? No! The court is not to condemn a man. It's not to condemn you, because we have this understanding that the court is to condemn Mr. A and make Mr. B free, or condemn Mr. B and make Mr. A free. That is not the work of the court, my people. The purpose of the court is to vindicate the righteous people, and to make the one that is condemned to upgrade he or her life into the life of righteousness. That is the purpose of the court. That is, if they condemn if Mr. A is guilty, for example, if Mr. A is guilty of any case, the purpose of Mr. A being guilty is for Mr. A to make amendment, to change his way of life, to improve his way of life, so that his way of life can be like the way of life of the one that is not found guilty. That is it. But we have this idea that, oh, the court will condemn me and they send me to jail, and that is it. The purpose is for you to amend your way, to grow up, to say, okay, I made a mistake. I don't want to do this mistake again. Remember what God told Cain. Cain, sin is at the door. Sin is at the door, and the desire of the sin is to have you, to make you a captive, to make you a slave of the sin. The one Cain, the same thing here, but Cain refused to listen, and he fell into the trap, into the grip of sin. So here, the purpose of the judge is not to condemn you. Remember, the purpose of the judge is not to condemn you, but to bring you up, so that you might see what you did wrong and amend your way. And so that the one that is not guilty can say, oh, wow, what I'm doing is good. I will continue to do what is good. See, it is a two-edged sword. Okay? Judgment is a two-edged sword. Okay? So the one that is guilty can improve his way, and the one that is not guilty can continue to do what is good. That is the purpose of judgment. The Kli Yakar, that is Rabbi Shlomo Ephraim of Poland, continues. It goes further. It said it starts with each and every one of us. Before we can go out and judge others, we must first start with ourselves. This, for Rabbi Shlomo Ephraim, is the conference of Mishpat and Sedek, the unification of justice and righteousness. Remember, I said the conference of justice and righteousness. The unification of Mishpat and Sedek is what is righteous justice. It is what? It is righteous justice. Because all things, we have to start within ourselves, my people. We have to put ourselves in the shoes of others. If I as a judge will do injustice by pronouncing false judgment, oh, if they put me in that position, if they put me in the shoe of those that is condemned, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? Right? God is telling us that we have to put ourselves in others' shoe. Feel the way they are going to feel. Is it right for you to pronounce false judgment against somebody who didn't sin? What if you are the one? Can you put yourself in his position or in her position? That is what God is saying. Start judgment from yourself. Start judgment within yourself. I find that this theme of judgment is quite fitting as we begin the final weeks before Yom Teruah, aka Rosh Hashanah. Yom Hadin, which means the day of judgment. The day when we all stand before one another and before God, the true judge. One of the greatest challenges of judgment is remaining impartial, right? To see and to hear all sides of the case before ruling. To put stereotype and prejudice aside. And to always give a person the benefit of a doubt. In a way, the high holidays seasons reminds us that we are all judges not only of others, but first and foremost of ourselves. We are all judges not of other people, first and foremost ourselves. The judgment must start from within. The judgment must start from home, from yourself. Okay, I want to judge a person. I want to judge my brother. I want to judge my sister. I want to judge whosoever it is. This judgment, am I like this person? What this person is accused of, do I do it myself? Because most of us, we try to wear, to wear the garment over our iniquity. Yeah, big garment. But our heart is as dirty as that of the devil. Our action is so dirty like that of the devil. And we come openly, with righteous garment that is nothing. When your heart is dirty, but you put on some clean garment to come and show off that you are kind of a judge to judge your brother. Who are you to judge your brother? Yeshua said that you see the little stick in your brother's eyes, but you did not see the big log in your own eyes. You see? Hypocrite. That's what Yeshua said. Hypocrite. So this is what we are saying here. This is what God is saying. That don't be an hypocrite. No. Don't be. Judge yourself first. Once you judge yourself, then you have the righteousness to be able to judge others. But if you don't judge yourself, you close your eyes to your own fault. You close your eyes to all your downfall, but you can open your mouth to other people's small, tiny sin or tiny mistake. Who are you? So that's what I am saying, that this morning we have to judge ourselves first. There is a need now more than ever for each of us individually, as a Hebrew community, as a people living in Canada, and as a global society, to take a hard, long look at our actions. We must owe ourselves to the highest moral and ethical standards, fighting to build a world of justice and equality for all people created in God's image, independent of race, of religion, or gender. And what I'm saying, that we should hold ourselves to the highest ethical and moral standard. Right? We should hold ourselves into the highest level of ethical and moral standard. Not to talk against others while we do the worst. Independent of who you are, independent of your race, independent of your religion, independent of your gender, be a male or a female, it doesn't matter. That we should try to hold ourselves to the highest standard. We that live in this country, we should try to build a world that is based on true justice, not on the justice of the mouth, not on the justice of the powerful. Because what we see in the world that we live today is the right of the powerful. Right? A country has nuclear bomb. A country has all the warplane in the world. A country has the highest technology, can do whatever he wants to do. He can only see those poor countries and bomb them, bomb them, bomb them. But your own big sin in your own country, you don't see. Do you hold yourself to the standard you are holding those small countries that are powerless? That is what God is saying. The word we have in the 21st century is the right of the might. The right of those that have powers. Not the right of the poor. Not the right of those that has no power. Not the right of the infant. Not the right of a widow. Not the right of the orphan people, but the right of those that are wealthy, the right of those that has power, the right of those that have bomb, which is wrong. You throw a bomb in the country, how many children die? You start people under false impression, say I'm sanctioning them. You think that the leaders will die? The leader doesn't die. It is the poor that die. It is the poor that perish. The leaders, they still enjoy their riches. You say, okay, I want to sanction this country so that they can rise against their leader. What does that happen? Practically zero. The leaders continue to enjoy. They continue to grow fat like cats. While the poor die, the infant die, the homeless die, the orphan, they die. In the name of sanction, in the name that I want to change somebody. Why don't you give them the true justice? Look at your home. Look at your back. Your backyard is filled with death. I want to go and clean 1,000 miles away. It doesn't make sense. And in moments where we see injustice staring us in the face, where Mishpat Tzedek, justice and righteousness are being abused and forsaken, we must have the courage to stand up and speak out in pursuit of the ultimate tzedek. As we enter the Yamim Noraim, the high holy days, high holy days, may we remember to treat others fairly, to be impartial, and to judge others how we ourselves want to be judged. In other words, love your neighbor as yourself. So, can you see injustice going on and you close your eyes? Do you see evil taking place and you close your eyes and you did not say anything? When the Torah says, woe is the man that know the right things to do but did not do it. Cursed is that man that know what is right, what is good, what is right to do, and he refused to do it. So, do you want to be cursed or you want to be blessed? You see injustice taking place and you close your mouth. You say, oh, I want to be politically correct. You see evil going on and you close your mouth. You say, oh, if I speak now, they're going to give me names. They're going to call me all kinds of bad names. But this is injustice, this is evil, this is immorality taking place. We have to stand up and speak. We don't have to keep silent because we are afraid for somebody to give us a bad name or someone to call you a bigot. No, you have to stand up and speak the truth and the truth of the Torah. Don't be afraid. The Torah said, the Holy One, blessed be He, is with us. We will stand up and speak the truth and the truth of the Torah. And more importantly, may we all strive to live this model of dual justice. Mishpat Tzedek, justice and righteousness, creating a space for both to exist in our lives, in our interaction with others and with God. And through our effort, may we all be blessed to be inscribed for another year in the book of life. And the most important thing is for us to create a space, to create a chance for both of these to exist in our life, for justice and for righteousness. Because justice without righteousness is no justice, or righteousness without justice is no righteousness. So therefore, we should create a space for both of these to be in our life, in our lives individually and collectively, for us to make this wonderful substance to be available in our life, to actually inculcate in our soul that we allow justice and righteousness to reign in us, in our community, in our country, and in the world at large. That justice and righteousness, that's what God speaks. If there is no justice and righteousness, the planet will spill out. That is it. It is a condition. God has given us a condition. You have a condition. It's your choice. You choose. That if you do justice and righteousness, you will live long on this planet. You will stay long. But if you refuse justice and righteousness, the planet itself will kick you out. So don't think that, oh, I have the understanding or I have technology that the planet cannot kick you out. You're wasting your time. Before you, there have been many other great civilizations have been wiped out. So, for us, if we say, he who has ears, let him hear what the Spirit, what the Holy One is saying. He who has eyes, let him see. Not seeing like this, but seeing spiritually to understand what God is talking. That God is a God of justice. God wants us to do justice and He wants us to do righteousness. Nothing more. It's not hard. It's not hard. Justice, you shall pursue. God knows that it is hard for us to do or to achieve. The Torah didn't say for you to achieve it. It's hard. It's tough. But you say try your utmost best. Try to pursue it. Continue. Don't stop. Continue until you will get there one day. The Chinese said a journey of 1,000 years starts with a single step. A journey of 1,000 years starts just with a step. Only one step. You continue. You never stop. Just continue until you are going to get there. The Torah didn't say go down and get there now. It's tough. Gradually, step by step. Don't stop. Don't be tired. Don't be confused. Don't allow anyone to bring you down. Don't allow anyone to crack you down. Just continue step by step until you are going to get to the top of the mountain. That's what the Torah is saying. Justice, you shall pursue. And Parashat Shoftim is a very simple parasha, and it has a lot of goody for me, for you, for each and every one of us, for us to live our life in the life the life of righteousness and the life of justice, the conference of justice and righteousness, the meeting point of justice and righteousness. Shabbat Shalom.